Hello y'all, welcome back to the Craft Castle. My name is Ashley and we're gonna make one of the coolest freaking cards ever. Do you see this little piñata? Absolutely adorable. Can you believe that this is my second greeting card I have ever made? Number 2. I am on a mission to make the coolest greeting cards ever and prove Tanner over the Maker's Gonna Learn studio that I am capable of making some really cool greeting cards. This project right here is actually a lot of fun because really all you're gonna need is one sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock, and then all you're gonna need is some scrap paper for the lettering and for the front. Now for this card, you're gonna see this piñata, and I actually used real crepe paper for this. We're gonna go into the assembly of this here in a little bit, and I'm gonna show you how to properly assemble this entire thing. But the one thing that you are going to need to grab, which is definitely really weird, is some herb scissors. Herb cutting scissors. So these things right here, if you want to get super fancy, you could just get them at the craft store. They're going to be more expensive, or you can pick these ones up. I got them off Amazon. I'll link everything that I use in the description of this video, but you're going to need to get some of these. Do you see that? Anyway, this is what you're going to need to use to make the piñata card. All right, y'all, are you ready to get started? Let's go. So the very first thing you want to do is head over to my cardstock warehouse, buy the cardstock that you need, and then also download the SVG file of the piñata greeting card. Then what you want to do is open up a blank window in Cricut Design Space and click on Upload, and then Upload Image. Then what you want to do is find that downloaded SVG file, and we are going to drag and drop it into Cricut Design Space. This is what your SVG file is going to look like. You can rename it if you want, and then you would just want to press upload. Now you want to click on the uploaded SVG file that we just uploaded and press add to canvas. At this point in time, what you want to do is resize the card to the size that you need. So what you want to do is click on the file, making sure that this right here is locked. We want to resize this to the size that you need. I'm going to be doing 6 inches in height and press return. Now what I'm going to do is right click and press ungroup. And then I'm going to come over here into this blue section. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to right click and press ungroup. Now this line that's right here, we're going to find it over here in the layers box. I'm going to click on the line and I'm going to change this to Operation Basic Cut over to score and click out of that. Now, if you wanted to add lettering to your greeting card, which is what I'm going to do, what you want to do is insert a text box and you want to insert your wording of your choice. Okay, I'm going to do something a little goofy and silly. And then what I want to do now is come up here to operation, and I want to turn this into a pen because I'm going to have my Cricut write this in a pen. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose my font. So I'm going to come up here into the fonts, and I'm going to come over here to the right, and I'm going to do a writing font. And if you also do not subscribe to Cricut Access, you can click this right here and it will do only free fonts. However, I subscribe to Cricut Access, so I'm just going to only do writing, and I'm going to choose a font that I want to use. So the font that I've chosen to use is a font called Rumors. So I'm going to click out of that and I'm going to drag this and place this into my greeting card. I'm only going to stay on the right side of this score line right here. Once I have this placed inside my greeting card, what I'm going to do is take and select the font line and also the back of my greeting card. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to press attach. You also can come down here and press this right here, which is attach. Okay, and then a fun little trick that I have is that these lettering right here, I'm going to cut them out on individual pieces of cardstock, and to re-glue this perfectly onto the card, it would be extremely difficult to do. So what I'm going to do is select everything over here, the piñata cutout, rectangle thing, and my lettering. I'm going to Command D, which is duplicate, and I'm going to drag this over here. Now for over here, I'm going to select my lettering, both my let's and party. And I'm going to come over here to operations and I'm going to change this over to a score. Then what I'm going to do is selecting my scored let's party and also my rectangle with the piñata. I'm going to press attach. Now at this point, what we told the Cricut is that we want to score in our lettering so we know where to glue this later when we go to assemble this. Now this right here is going to be the very top portion of our card. So now we can come over here to the original one and delete it. We don't need it anymore. So at this point in time, what you want to do is just save your card. And then all you want to do is press make. Now at this point in time, all you're going to need to do is pull out the cardstocks that you're going to be using. Remember what I said earlier? We're really going to only be using a whole bunch of scrap pieces for our lettering. And then you're going to need a pretty fairly decent size for the back of your card. Now you're not going to need a whole sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock, but you are going to need a pretty decent size. But everything else is just one small little 1 inch by 1 inch piece of paper. Okay, you want to make sure that all your cardstock is pulled, and then what you want to do is insert mat 1. For me, that's going to be my white. You also want to make sure that your scoring tool is inside your Cricut, and then I am going to cut all of my cardstock on the cardstock 80 pound mode on my Cricut Explorer Air 2. I'm also going to click on the fast mode cutting on my computer and then just press the blinking C button. Then you want to cut out all the rest of your cardstock. However, when you get to the portion of where you're going to need the pen, you want to make sure and pay attention to the screen. So on the screen, it says that my very first thing I need to have is my scoring stylus. So that's in here. So I'm just going to press the blinking C button. Eventually what will happen is your Cricut will stop, and then on the screen, it will say load in your marker. So what you want to do is take out your scoring stylus from the clamp A, and you want to load in your marker. I'm just using a black marker that everyone gets for their Cricut when you first buy it. You want to put that into clamp A, close it, and then press the blinking C button. Okay, when your Cricut is done with the pen, you always want to make sure and take the marker out of your Cricut because you don't want to forget and dry your marker out. I have done that so many times. Then you just want to keep cutting your cardstock just like you would for all the rest of your sheets. So when you have all your pieces of cardstock cut, you do not want to throw away this piñata because it is actually going to be really useful. This right here is what cut out of your front top piece. So just to make sure you do not throw this away. So we are going to set everything else to the side, all your cardstock to the side, and we are going to work with this guy right here. Now what you're going to need to grab is some of your favorite precision craft glue. This is my favorite just because there is this pin that's inside the cap, and so it never gets stuck or clogged because there's always something that's in there making sure it doesn't get clogged. Then you're going to need crepe paper. I am so excited to show you how to make this. Okay, so when it comes to your little piñata, what you want to do is take your very first layer of crepe paper and you want to cut it a little bit longer than the piñata cutout. So I'm just going to take my scissors and with my crepe paper, I'm just going to cut it a little bit longer. See how this piece of crepe paper is just a little bit longer than my cutout. Then what I'm going to do is fold this in half, lining up the edges. Just like that. Then I'm going to take my herb scissors and I am just going to cut fringe in my crepe paper. You don't want to go all the way up to right here because then you'll start losing all of your fringe. Okay, so then what you want to do is taking your cardstock glue, we're just going to add one line of glue down towards the bottom of our piñata cutout, and we are going to add this to our piñata. Then what you want to do is move on to the next color. Doing the same thing as before, we want to take and just cut a piece of crepe paper about the length of your piñata cutout, just a little bit longer, folding this in half, and then you want to cut your fringe into your crepe paper. Now, I personally like to cut one side of my crepe paper and then go back in and cut the other side of my crepe paper. The reason for that is because I'm creating more volume with my crepe paper. It doesn't get stuck together. I feel like when you do both sides together, it gets stuck together, creating less volume. Okay, and then for this one, what I'm going to do is put this on top of my red that I used, right above where my line is, my cut line, and I'm going to add this into my piñata. Okay, next color is going to be green for me. Same steps. We're going to cut a piece of crepe paper about the length, a little bit longer than our piñata cutout, folding it in half, and I am just going to take one side of my crepe paper and cut. Okay, when you have that done, you just want to take your craft glue and put it onto the orange layer of your crepe paper, and we are going to just stagger the next color on top of your last color. So right now it doesn't look like a whole lot, and you're like about ready to start losing the entire form of your piñata, right? That is okay. It will end up looking good at the end. Trust the process. You want to keep going with this entire thing until you get all the way filled up with your piñata. Okay, so when you're done with your crepe paper, your end result will kind of look something like this, where there isn't a whole lot to look at outside of the fact that there is a lot of fringe, right? Okay, so to minimize how thick your card is going to be, what I like to do is take my scissors and I am just going to trim up the excess around my piñata. Don't trim into your cutout, because that is what is going to be seen on our card. Okay, this is what it's going to look like now, where it's all nice and trimmed up. Still doesn't look like a whole lot here, but that's okay, because we're going to get ready to make it look real good. Okay, next steps is we are going to take the very back portion of our card and we're going to take the very front portion. You are going to line up this to our front portion, making sure that nothing is cut off. Okay, when you have that lined up, what you want to do is making sure that you have a good handle on your card. You want to glue down your piñata right here, and then you're going to want to do the entire back side of the larger rectangle. Then you're going to take both pieces and we are going to lay this down together at the same time. Okay, and then you just want to seal the edges and also press down your piñata just so it's nice and stuck on there and doesn't move around. So when you get this glued, you'll see that there is going to be some faint score lines inside your card. That is to help us glue down our lettering to our card. So what I always do is taking what I already have scored on there, I'm going to take some glue and I'm going to put glue inside where the lettering is going to go. This is my guide to where I'm putting all of my letters. Now it'll be hard to see because it's white on white, but the glue is inside the lettering. And then I'm going to take my lettering and I'm going to use my pickup tool for this because it's nice and easy. And I'm just going to add in my lettering inside the score marks, making sure that everything lines up, looking good. Okay, so now you can see that all of my letters are perfectly lined up and perfectly distributed, nice and center onto my card. Now what you want to do is taking the inside portion of your card, you want to fold down the middle of your card. So we're just going to fold this in half. And if you want to give it a good crease, you can just take a brayer or a credit card and just make that crease a lot harder. Okay, this is important with your final step of your card, is you want to make sure that what you're gluing, that when you glue the very front to your card, this right here is facing towards you so you don't glue upside down. So this is right here, this is facing towards me. I'm going to close this. Now I'm going to roll this over and I'm going to glue the back of my card. And we're going to do glue all the way down, just like that. And we're going to roll this over, making sure that this is towards me, this is towards me, everything is towards me, so we don't glue upside down. Now, for extra benefit, if you wanted to, you could take your brayer and just push your card down so it stays nice and flat. But then what you could do as well is just kind of fray up your piñata so it kind of gives a little bit more movement. And look at how cute this ended up turning out. All right, y'all. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being super easy and 1 being extremely hard, how easy do you think it was to make this card? I sure hope it was a number 10 for you, because frankly to me, I thought this was going to be the most easiest card project ever that ended up turning out so freaking adorable. I'm obsessed with making cards now. Like, I went from never making a card in 12 years to now making 2, and now I have a new obsession. All right, y'all, I sure hope I inspired you to create, and I'll see you next time.